All right, kids, I'm back, and this time I'm going to be showing you how to calculate a tip using the percent proportion. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to define what a tip actually is. And I'm just going to use my text box. So a tip is actually a percent that is added, just like a tax is, but it's a percent that is added to services that are purchased. And instead of being given to the government, this one's actually given to the service worker, the server, the waitress, the waiter, the bartender, whoever you're tipping, whoever's serving you. So it's one of the ways that they make an income when you have a job that's a service job. So we are going to take the situation of a Lillian and Akira. They went out to dinner and they ate at a restaurant. So their meal together, all of it, cost $19.50. They left their server a 15% tip. So we are asked to calculate the tip and find the total cost for their meal. And we're actually going to calculate this the exact same way that we calculated tax. We're just going to use the is over of proportion. So finding the tip, we're going to start with is over of. Oops, and I do not want to do text anymore. I want to do drawing. And I don't really want bank. Oh well. So there's that. And then we want to look back at the question because we want to think of how we're going to say this. So it says their meal cost them $19.50 and they left a 15% tip. So we want to know like how much is or what is 15% of $19.50. So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to write that real quick. So there's my what is 15% of $19.50. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my proportion. So just a little bit. So I've got some sort of a percent over 100. So the first thing I'm going to do is what is. So if I'm saying what is located right here. So I'm going to place my what right here and I'm going to call it X. Next, I've got 15%. And I've got my percent right here, so I'm going to put my 15 right here. And then we've got our of 1950. So 1950 is our of. So I'm putting 1950 right here. And then we multiply, we cross multiply. So I'm going to do 15 times 1950, which gives me 298.5. And that is set equal to x times 100, which gives us 100x. I don't know if you noticed a pattern, but it seems like we're always getting 100x for these tax and tip problems. So in order to solve for that x, I want to get x all by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by 100. Which is going to leave me with, move this over to 2.985. But again, this is money. So we would need to decide how we round this. So we're going to look at 8, and because 5 is bigger, it means we're going to take 8 up to 9. So it's actually going to become 299. So our tax on our meal, or I shouldn't say tax, it's not tax, it's a tip. What am I writing? The tip that we're going to give our server. My goodness. Tip is going to equal $2.99. And to be honest, I would probably round it up if it was me. I would probably round it up to $3. But so we're going to give the server a tip of $2.99, but we still have to also pay for the $19.50 meal. So to find the total price, we're going to take the $19.50 meal. And we're going to add to that the $2.99 what is that, 14? So that makes 12 and $22.49. So altogether, Akira and Lillian are going to have to pay $22.49, and they'll probably have to divide that amongst the two of them, which would bring it down to around $11. But the question is not asking us to find that. It just says calculate the tip and the total cost for their meal. So the tip ended up being $2.99, and their total price for their meal ended up being $22.49. So let's look at one more example like this, dealing with another situation with a tip. So we've got Olivia, Maela, and two other friends had lunch at a restaurant. They split the bill equally. Ooh, here we've got one where it's equal. So the bill was $34, and as a group, they left a 15% tip. How much did each person pay? So we could actually solve this two different ways. We could figure out the tax and tip, or the tip and the total first, then divide by 4. Or we could divide by 4 first for the bill and then multiply that by 15%. So it doesn't matter which way we do it. Let's see how I did it on my key. So let's do, we'll find the total with the tip and then divide by 4, because that's the calculation I've got here just to check my work. So let's find total with tip and then divide by 4. So we've got that the bill was $34, and they left a 15% tip. So we want to know what is 15% of $34. And the way we're setting it up is the is over of equal to percent out of 100. So what is, oh, and I didn't set up my, there we go. So what is, here's our is, so I'm going to put what, and that's going to go right here. I'm going to call it X. 15 is my percent. And then of 34, so my of is 34. And I'm really going to have to zoom in to solve this because I wrote way too big.